What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. Looking forward to today's newsletter. $3.7 million with a boring and booming plumbing franchise with Mr. Kevin. What's up, Kevin? How are you?
Hey, happy Monday. Happy late Father's Day.
Likewise. You do anything fun with the family? Or
We
what
had
they do for you?
Yeah, that's a better I got to make myself dinner. Yes. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was good. Yeah, we did some pool time. It was pretty casual. So yeah, I was just looking at myself in the preview and I'm getting more and more grays. So I feel like that's part of fatherhood, right? More of my grays in my beard here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I FaceTimed my dad yesterday and he was like, "Why you got all that gray hair?" It's like, well, I think entrepreneurship has done that to me. Um,
Yeah, we both that owning a business and having two kids under the age of 4 or 5 will do that to you, I feel like.
oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, if I did shave it all, though, it'd be hard to tell. I'd probably look like a 25-year-old again if I just fully shaved. Cool. Well, welcome everyone. Today, we got a bunch of things we're going to go over. All exciting. Uh a business where the top owner does $3.7 million in sales. We're going to talk about a staffing resale that's been in business for 11 years. We're going to talk about a franchisee's success with a boring business. And I got to interview a CEO on the Franchise Empire show. So for those of you who this is your, first time, or if you want to get these in your inbox every Sunday, you can just go to franchiseempire.com/newsletter and we send this out to you for free on Sunday morning. With that said, let's dive into this resale. What do we got up here first, Kevin?
Yeah, and if you're listening in, I always like to get the questions coming in live, so we're happy to get those at the end. But yeah, the resale we have today is Express Employment Professionals. So we've talked about Express maybe once or twice, but it is a staffing firm. So I think they're the largest staffing franchise in the industry. So they've been around since 1985. They have close to 800 franchise units throughout the U.S. They actually are also international as well. So pretty big operation. But the gist of what they do and offer their customers is temporary, flexible, direct hire, and then professional and contract staffing services. So they can do everything from skilled trades to professional workers to light industrial and administrative job positions. So your role as the owner is largely going to be networking and business development and getting out in the community and getting relationships and contracts with small and medium-sized businesses in your area that have staffing needs but maybe don't have internal HR departments to fulfill those needs. So this particular one, we like to show Express just because it's a super solid franchise, and we'll get into the overall item 19 here in a bit, but this one is located in Royal Oak, Michigan, which is essentially like a suburb of Detroit. So it's been around since 2013. They do want you to sign a NDA for the last 12 months profit and loss. But based on the asking price, I think it probably is, something worthwhile looking into if you're in this area and are interested in this type of business. So asking price of $585. 7 employees on staff. I think a lot of those are recruiters. So those recruiters are the ones that, post the job positions that are needed from your, business customers. They're going to do all the interviewing and make the actual hires. So pretty big staff, poised for growth. The Detroit suburb area, like I mentioned, this particular territory, they have a workforce population of close to 200,000 in close to 17,000 businesses. So pretty big potential in that market, seemingly. They do have an assignable office lease that's in place. It's 4,000 square feet, so pretty big office. And the current rent is $38.50 per month. So that would be something you could assume as the new owner. But yeah, I mean, this one we've looked at, the item 19 before, but if you look into the numbers, for 418 units open more than 60 months, their average annual sales was just under 7.2 million. So very scalable opportunity here. It's definitely something where people need to be comfortable with, like interacting with business owners and doing that B2B development and or managing a sales team that can get out and knock on doors and get those contracts. So however, 90% of the franchisees that get into Express do not have staffing recruiting backgrounds, which is interesting. I actually learned another staffing franchise recently. They're only taking on people that now have staffing industry experience, which I thought was interesting. So this is
Interesting.
completely different than Express. But I do think Express has got a pretty, from what I understand, unique model in terms of like it's a numbers game on how you get business, and they have a very like specific system you follow to get that business. And if you're
Mm.
not willing to like hit the streets and follow that system, it's probably not a great fit. So yeah, it's an interesting one there. But let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a potentially good opportunity if you're interested in kind of a B2B franchise model in the Detroit area.
Solid. Yeah, I mean, we've shown some Express, before. It's one of the ones like this that have been around a while. And we've talked about this, established in 1985. They often have, there's just a good amount of resales available, because people have been in them for so long. After 10, 15, 20 years as a franchisee, whatever it is, people will, want to move on, retire, get a different business, et cetera. So seems like a pretty solid opportunity to me.
Yeah. I had somebody ask me this the other day, Tark. I'd be curious to get your take, but do you feel like staffing is going to like go on this type of trend? Is it going to just stay steady, or do you think it'll decline, the need for staffing businesses like this?
I think there's always going to be a need for staffing. I mean, I think maybe some places evolve in terms of maybe the technology they use, but I think the need for people will not cease. And even as AI and things like that replace people, that's just going to exacerbate the fact that there is a need for other people and trying to hunt them down and find them.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be totally wrong, but
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. It was an interesting question. A new client asked me. I personally feel like more and more small and medium sized businesses are going to go the route of not having like W-2 employees if they can, like where, especially if it's like a project based business where, they may only need like 10 temporary staffers for a 6 to 12 month period. Like I think that kind of model is more and more appealing for people from my experience. So I don't know. I think it's going to continue to be a pretty big need. I do think it's pretty competitive, but if you're willing to do what it takes to get your name out there and network and get those contracts, it can be pretty lucrative.
Yeah, I mean, the reality for most businesses is that people are both like their biggest assets and challenges in a business. It's like businesses always need people, you know? I
Yeah.
feel like it's one of those needs that will likely never it'll never go away. At some point we'll see what happens with technology, but I don't know. Well, if you guys are interested in this resale, if you're interested in this resale, or if you're interested in just finding out what resales might be available in your specific area, you go to franchiseempire.com/resales. You'll be able to fill out the form and then schedule a quick 15-minute call with our team. You do need to have at least, at minimum, $150,000 net worth to schedule that call, by the way, because buying a resale takes money. There's like capital needed. You do have to put like a down payment, and you have to be able to qualify for, an SBA loan or figure out some sort of funding or financing. So just want to make sure that I say that. All right, client case study. So since we're getting ready to talk about a boring business, a plumbing business specifically, I thought I'd highlight Rodney. So Rodney came into, and I was actually just messaging with him the other day. He just hit his 2-year anniversary in his business. And so Rodney came and knowing that he wanted to do something specifically in the fire and water restoration space specifically, and was just kind of really stuck looking at a bunch of different options and just spinning his wheels. And as he put it, in analysis paralysis. And so, we were able to help him get unstuck, clear, and then within 45 days, he signed his franchise agreement. And since then, Rodney's been on the news a bunch of times. This franchisor, it's like what he's been on the news a bunch of times. I know been well for him, and he's also now on the board of his local chamber of commerce. So, one of the cool things I think about being an entrepreneur is like the identity that it creates now, where you're this leader, you're a leader, where maybe you were a leader in a company before, but like you're a leader in your community now, which is really cool, and it just feels different. So, since we were talking about boring businesses, just wanted to share that. And there are people out there crushing it with boring businesses.
That's
Speaking
awesome.
of,
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like going back to like when I was like a leader in corporate America, it's such like I worked for a huge company, but it was such a bubble like you're in where you don't even learn about like what's really even out there. At least I didn't, I was so focused in like growing in that bubble where I didn't even know the businesses that were like around in my local community and what they were doing and like the potential they had, So it's just I feel like the longer you stay in that bubble, the longer you're like disconnected from the reality of the business world, which is it's kind of mean to say, but it like you kind of just get stuck in your day to day and you think, oh, this is how every business is. Or like the corporation I worked for was so massive. It was so much different than 99% of the businesses out there. So I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I think I don't think it's mean to say at all. I think people get blinders. You get blinders, and it's just you don't know what you don't know. It's like there's a whole nother. It's like it's like as if you were walking around the whole time with sunglasses on, and then one day you're just like, what's on my face? And you were like, what the heck? you know, as I hit myself in the mouth with my sunglasses. But so it's true. I mean, the entrepreneurship world and being it's just a completely different reality. And then connecting with other entrepreneurs and business owners, different conversations. It's I think that's one of the things that's beneficial in our program that we run, the Zero Profitable Franchise System, is just folks being able to see the messages in the Facebook group, connect with people, just start to take in information and just be around people that are making moves with their life and making business decisions. It's they say proximity is power. Who you spend your time with is it means a lot. So
yeah. Let's talk about this one. So this one's called Benjamin Franklin Plumber. Kind of a catchy name you probably wouldn't forget once you see it, but this is one of those like non-sexy businesses that we really like. So it's been around since 2001. I think they converted to a franchise in 2010. I don't know for sure. It's been around for a while. Let's just say that. So they do plumbing services. They are part of Authority Brands umbrella. So Authority Brands is kind of similar to Neighborly. Authority Brands is an umbrella company that has about 15 different home services franchises underneath its umbrella. So a lot of buying power collectively as a network. There's referral relationships between franchisees, very stable financially. So there's some benefits to being part of the Authority Brands. And the other benefit is they do have like an HVAC franchise. They have a electrical franchise. So other franchises you could expand into as you grow your franchise empire. So it's cool that there's those other categories within that umbrella. But Benjamin Franklin is the plumbing one. Really like this one. They have, let's see, how many territories do they have now? If we keep scrolling. Yeah, 324 franchise units. So very, very well established. The total investment range is between 131 and 274. My understanding is that depends how quickly you add on another van and another plumber. So, they're going to help you hire that first certified plumber that carries the license you'll need. And then, from again, my understanding, within 3 to 6 months, you're going to hire another plumber because you'll have that person pretty busy. So, depending on when that timeline fits. So, one plumber per van. The van comes equipped with all the stuff you need, all the equipment and inventory you need for the plumber to do their job. But it's a very systemized business. They have a software system that they built internally that is used amongst a lot of their different brands. And it's used from all the way from CRM, customer inquiry, to doing the sales quotations to collecting payment. It's a pretty fully integrated suite of software, which is cool. And then when you add another brand, you're not, there's no learning curve. You're still using that same software. So Benjamin Franklin, like I said, does residential and commercial work. They do installs, but mostly it's a lot of maintenance, drain cleaning, things like that. Let's look at the item 19 financial data. So they break it down by quartile. So I think we go to the fifth column there. Average gross revenue per territory in the top 25% is right around 2 million. Second quartile is doing 1.2 million. Third quartile is still doing pretty good, 756, and then it drops off quite a bit at the end. Again, we've mentioned this before, but I do think there are some owners that are actually been plumbers and they convert into a Benjamin Franklin and still kind of do the daily plumbing work. So I imagine those are kind of the bottom 25%, but overall pretty strong numbers. You can see here, and it's an industry that it's always I really don't see how technology is going to disrupt the plumbing industry anytime soon. It's a need-based industry where something happens, you have to call a plumber and get it done. So, I like this one quite a bit. We have a couple people actually looking at this pretty far down the path at this point. But Tarek, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is another, as we would call it, blue chip franchise. I mean, 324 franchise units, right? And something to clarify there, actually, this is, where I'm nerdy with all my detail stuff, but franchise units don't necessarily mean it's the franchisees. Those are probably territories that they have. So maybe they have 200 franchisees, if you have people that own 2, 3, or 4. But what's interesting, and just to highlight the number that was included in the subject line of the 3.7 million, you can see the highest gross revenue of territories, or the highest performing territory does 3.7 million. The reason why I highlight that, someone responded to something, one of our emails and our automations or something, where you had an appointment set. I forget what it was, but he was like, the numbers you guys put in your emails, they never match up. And it's never, and I didn't understand the email. And sometimes, sometimes you just got to ignore what people say. By the way, as an entrepreneur, sometimes people just say things. But every time we quote a number, yes, we use a very attractive number. Why? Because we want to get your attention. I'm 100% unapologetic about that. I will use big ass numbers to get your attention. You sell them what they want, give them what they need. You're going to be attracted by the big number, and then we're going to show you the breakdown and give you all of the goods. So you guys are busy, man. If it put, average second quartile owner does 1.1 million, you'd be like, dude, that sounds boring.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah,
but you haven't looked at, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I'm always gonna throw the highest number out there in the subject line, but keep in mind that's one territory. So to me, what's interesting, and most people buying service brands, they're oftentimes they're going to get 2 or 3. I mean, you can certainly start off with 1, but that's pretty solid for just one territory. I can tell you this: if you want to build an empire, if you want to build something great, it's not going to happen with one territory, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Unless you just so happen to get in one of those franchises where, and as an anomaly in that one senior care franchise where you had one person in a territory doing $24 million in sales. I don't even know how that's possible. I can't even wrap my head around that. I'd love to understand that person's like business and how it breaks down overall. But anyways, that's my rambling that I'm doing. But it seems like a solid opportunity overall. Been around a long time, owned by a parent company that has a lot of resources. I feel like these are the franchise opportunities that you have to have a certain personality style for this brand and for other brands. Like, so I know we've had people recently that have got into like a more emerging franchisor, but it seemed like their personality fit well with that. Like some of you guys would do terrible in an emerging franchisor. You would hate it, because although there's a little bit more room and bandwidth, you'd be like, they're not telling me every single thing that I need to know. And whereas a brand like this, I mean, a lot of that shit's figured out already by this point. After what, 30 years?
Yeah.
Or 15. Well, I guess. Hold on. When did they? Oh, founded. Okay, 20 years, 23 years. Was there anything else to hit on here?
God, I just had a thought in my head and I lost it. Oh, I know you don't like a ton of semi-passive opportunities, but this is one that does kind of allow for semi-passive ownership. And it is, you do, it does make sense because a lot of times most of the jobs, the plumbers are going out doing the quote, like doing the actual work, collecting payment. So they're almost like serving their own little, like they're monitoring their own schedule. Like you have to obviously manage them at a high level, but it is a little bit different type of business. So,
and by the way, it's not that I don't believe in semi-passive. I think a lot of it's expectations.
Yeah.
It's like the wrong expectations being set. And I think what from an individual standpoint, that's the franchise buyer. What you need to know is if you go into a franchise in the semi-passive model, your startup costs will be higher and you will probably make less margin, which is okay because you're still keeping your full-time job. But just know that like you're going to have to, if you're not the person in the day-to-day managing and overseeing this operation, someone has to be, and you're probably going to pay them a salary. And it's probably going to be somewhere between 50 grand and 100 grand a year, depending upon the type of business. Right. And so I definitely think it's out there. I get frustrated when people are like, oh yeah, I'm only going to work 10 hours a week and I'm expecting it to be like smooth sailing. And I want to hit 20% profit margins. And it's like, well, like maybe you should go full time in the business then. If that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Or some of these brands will say like, oh yeah, we have a investor model where corporate will manage everything for you. And it's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that makes me nervous too.
Yeah.
What else here?
I don't know. I didn't really go through some of this stuff here, but if you're interested in reading about it, I mean, like I said, they do have buying power. So collectively as a network, you're going to get probably discounts from their suppliers and things like that. Very stable industry. I mean, I don't know how much more stable you can get than plumbing. It is plumbing and HVAC, I feel like, are two of the more stable industries, out there in terms of franchises.
Yeah, and two quick stories on plumbing for me. Number one was this was about, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, and went to just turn off the shower handle, and it was just like you felt something snap on the inside, and so then the whole thing like moved. I was able to turn it, and now it turned like really easy. Like I could have just spun it with my finger, and the water was still running. I was like, crap. So I had to turn off the water main, and this happened during the kids' bedtimes. So this happened at night. So I had to turn off the water main because that wasn't turning off. So I'd turn off the water main. Plumber came the next day. Literally, the guy, and it probably was something like am I handy? I think generally I can be handy with more technical stuff like that. Probably not, but like whatever. I put stuff together in the house or but I'm not a DIYer, and nor do I want to be, because as an entrepreneur, like you want to, where do you want to spend your time doing? You want to pay someone to like fix your faucet, or you want to spend 5 hours trying to figure it out yourself? How do you value your time? Anyways, so the plumber guy comes, And it's like an easy thing. They know the part. I actually looked it up on YouTube, and it's like, hey, when you have this issue, it's this part, whatever. I was like, I'm definitely not attempting to fix that myself, though. And he comes, and then literally, like, what was it, like a few minutes later, like he comes down, like it was like 7 minutes. He's like, yeah, I was like, oh, do you have a question? He's like, no, I'm all done. I was like, you're done? He's like, yeah. It was like I mean, he was not in the bathroom for not more than 10 minutes, and I'm like, oh, sweet, cool. And he's like, cool, yeah. I like whenever you're ready, I'll take the payment. I'm like, all right, how much is it? He's like, it was like $340. The part had to. I think the part was like a $25-$30 part. So like that dude just made some money, and it just shows like I didn't want to pay the $340, but I did, and that happens all the time. Our hot water heater, there was a one of the nuts that connect the two pipings. Somehow it got a crack in the nut, and it was just like a little stream of water just shooting, and I didn't see it for like a week, and all of a sudden there's just like water flowing through the garage. Anyways, I try to wrap some of that special like water seal tape around it. That didn't work. It was just like, oh my goodness. Um, and this happened over the weekend. They didn't have anyone that could come until, Monday. And so the guy comes and basically is like, okay, it's going to be 400. It was going to be like 400 something bucks to replace and to repair it or replace it. And it was going to be like 2 grand. But it was the hot water heater was 9 years old, and the lifespan on hot water heaters are like 10 years.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I might as well just pay the 2 grand to replace it. So there we go. Twice a plumbing company got me for,
Yeah.
$2,500. So the
So
opportunity's out there.
there's so many applications. It's like this is great for people who have a strong operations and like customer service background and they don't want to do sales because it's not like a super sales heavy like type of business to run. It's more about being responsive, following the system, like investing in the marketing that you need to. I mean, I like plumbing businesses a lot. So the guy in Omaha where I live, he owns a 1 hour heating and air, and he recently added this one, Benjamin Franklin. So now
Oh,
he
really? Oh,
HVAC
interesting.
and plumbing. Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice. He'll
yeah.
kill it then.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you guys want to see if there are any of these available in your area, this specific franchise, again, we hit the numbers for those of you guys just joining this franchise. The highest territory does 3.7 million. When we look at the averages in terms of quartile, bottom up, the bottom 25%, 283,000. Third quartile, 756,000 average. Second quartile, basically 1.2 million. Top 25% averages 2 million per territory. Again, this is per territory. So show some attractive numbers. A lot of these folks, like Kevin mentioned earlier, that are in the lower tier, they're probably doing the work themselves. Like they're probably actually doing the plumbing work, I would imagine. But you can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory to see if this franchise is available in your area, or just to see what franchises are available in your area. You'll be able to set up a free call with the team. Now, last but not least, this was on the Franchise Empire show. I chatted with a guy who built a cleaning franchise, and I just love talking to entrepreneurs and just hearing out how they start out. This guy had a really interesting story. He started out as a teenager in the cleaning business. Basically, this guy's been in the cleaning business for like 30 years, 35 years. Which is pretty interesting. And it just shows that some of these boring businesses, it's like, can definitely be the way to go. And, I think when I think about this, it's easy to look at someone, and you see that whatever it is that they have in terms of their life that may make you feel, wow, I want that in my life, or how lucky are they that they have it. But just remember, like, it's usually harder than it looks. Number one. Number two, is these folks are just willing to do the unsexy things, you know? They're just willing to do unsexy things. And then you see them with the sexy result is what happens. So anyways, you can check that episode out on the Franchise Empire Show on YouTube or any of your podcast platforms. With that said, Kevin, anything else to cap it off with?
Well, not today, no. Oh.
That was weird. I don't know how exactly how that happened. I got kicked out for a second, but anyways, I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button before you go, and we'll see you next Monday.